Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. This show is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast, episode 9, title Leadership in Business. I'm your host, Attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law. You can interact with us on social media with Go Legal Yourself, and you can always find us on the web at baglalaw.com. This podcast is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. And by knowing exactly where you are, it's easier to become more successful. Get ready for a life-changing show as we empower all business owners and entrepreneurs to dare to become successful. Today, we will be interviewing the best-selling international author who is also a motivational speaker and a strategist specialist, Tia Ross, about leadership in business. Tia is with the Tia Ross and Company. Welcome, Tia.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Really great.
Well, we always ask our guests to share a joke about attorneys. Do you have a joke for us today?
Not one, other than the fact that I wanted to be a lawyer. Really, yes. I set out to be a lawyer. That was a dream that I had, and God had a different plan for me. However, the reason why I wanted to be a lawyer, because of the way I grew up. So I grew up in a rough neighborhood, really in a very aggressive, rough neighborhood to grow up in, but I had a really smart mouth. And I figured with my street smarts and book smarts, I would be a hell of a lawyer.
There you go. I think you would have been an incredible lawyer, yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely a litigator, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite attorney jokes is, how many attorney jokes are there? 3. The rest of them are true. Well, we are super excited to have you on the show today because I know our audience is probably sitting at the edge of their seats just wanting to know knowledge from you, just wanting to learn from the best. And I know, thank you very much for your book. Your book is called Living on Purpose with a Purpose. What a brilliant title. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tia, and how you got here today?
Yes, and that book is exactly what captures the essence of how I got to where I am today. The title in itself was really designed with intention. And believe it or not, I came up with that title while doing a motivational speech to youth. The principal of that school came out and said, "All right, youth, today we're living," and they said, "on purpose." And she said, "with a what?" And they said, "purpose." Well, I always say on purpose, doing things on purpose. Nothing happens with a coincidence.
I'm a huge believer in that, yes. Too. I truly am. So when I was reading your book, it really resonated, certain things that you were saying.
Yes. So what I realized, I didn't realize it when I was in it. And many business owners don't realize that the life journey they're on could be building a muscle for that business someday. And that's what that book was designed for, to get people to pay attention and not let life live them, but that they live and create life themselves.
It's incredible in nowadays that there are more entrepreneurs starting businesses today. But yet, entrepreneurs seem so lost. It can be the startup phase. It could be as they grow. It can be even an exit phase. What do they do with their business at the end of 35 years? Do they just close the doors and walk away? If they have no plan, I feel that they're pretty much lost because anybody plans. You would plan for a vacation, wouldn't you, Tia?
Yes.
So why wouldn't a business owner plan for their business? And I do want to ask you, you have done some incredible things in your life, and they are really surrounded around empowering individuals, business owners, people that are thinking to go into business as well. Could you share some of those stories with us?
Yes. And one of the key pieces that you just said that I love was that many business owners jump into businesses without thinking about an exit strategy or thinking about the plan. Well, you know why that is? It's because most people start businesses out of a passion or an idea, a possible purpose, and so what happens is you get lost in that passion. And I did that. That's how come I know. I literally jumped into working with youth and community without a plan. And what that caused me to do was give away a lot of my services for years and never being able to monetize it or put money to it, giving away a lot of intellectual property and genius to companies while I was helping people. So at the end of the day, I felt good because I was helping a lot of people. However, eventually that comes to an end, and it's very limited if you don't plan wisely with business, because I had to realize that charging for my services allowed me to reach more youth. And once I realized that money could have a cause-driven purpose behind it, and it needed to have structure in business, then everything about what I did changed. And it is what has allowed me to sustain working with companies for more than 18 years.
That's fantastic. I love what you just said about having passion and really taking that and moving forward with it and actually creating a business. But sometimes, most of the time, passion doesn't really pay for bills, does it? Mm-hmm. It would be fantastic if it does, but it doesn't though. And the fact that you love what you do, I think that's the first and foremost, that anyone that's thinking about starting a business, you have to love what you're going to do. If you don't love it, don't go down that road. Having a passion to start a business, what else would you say that a business owner would need as far as leadership qualities?
Well, it goes back to what I put in that book. And I didn't realize the formula until I wrote the book. So here's what I mean by that. Stopping and doing things on purpose. So the first step.
Say that one more time, Tia.
Stopping and doing things on purpose.
I hope our business owners that are listening to this podcast is exactly going to be doing that.
Yes. And so that's the best way to lead in a business. You have to stop, slow down, think about the purpose behind what you're creating, what you're doing. A lot of business owners get caught in the rat race of the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with making money. And when you have a purpose-driven focus, you can create the money with a purpose, and it works better for you than against you. I've seen so many business owners lead in such a way where the bottom line is what takes precedence. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you can find yourself in a cyclical cycle of just going after money. And what I've seen in business owners that do that, eventually the life cycle of that business gets to a point where the business owner no longer enjoys the business because they're so goal-driven that they miss the whole purpose of the business. The brand gets lost. The customer doesn't get served. And before you know it, the original passion of that leader is lost in the bottom line. And no one wins.
I'm completely in an agreement with you. Again, it does take passion, but also everyone is in business to make money. Absolutely. That's the number one question I usually ask my audience. So like yourself, I am a speaker. I've spoken to thousands of people. And just last week, we had an event called War. That is for business owners, which represents we are ready. Business owners, again, they want to be good at what they do. They want to excel at what they do. And they want to stand out from their competition, but they don't know how to do that. So there's so many misinformation out there. I'm not even going to start to discuss. If you start to Google something, you're going to go down one rabbit hole and never come back up again. And if you really are serious about running a business, learn from the experts that have already done it. Go and educate yourself. Knowledge is power. Going back to running your business on a purpose, how would you share some tips with us, Tia? How would you sort of encourage or direct or advise a business owner to do that?
Oh, now you're getting me excited.
Yes,
because this is where my passion comes on, because I like to get results. So the first thing is shift your mindset to being result-driven. And result-driven means not just the bottom line, but also what is the result that your customer is going to experience. So if you build a business on purpose, then what I would say, I'm really clear on this, get in your mind the business years from where you sit today. So that would be the first step to the listeners.
How many years would you say? 3, 5, 10?
3, 5, 10, 20.
Got it.
Because if you can see the vision 20 years out, and it's okay, some people can't. That's okay. See it as far out as you possibly can. See your customer completed with services. How is their life different now that they've been in your life or that you've been in their life? Mm-hmm. What do they look like? How do they operate? How is their business and life affected or their life affected as a result of your business services? When you picture that person or many clients, when you picture them in their final state, what happens next? How do they play with you next? Or do they leave complete? Do they refer other people? What happens after that? And I know in your book, you have a name for that particular part of the cycle, you know? So it's really interesting to me when you ask me that question, because what I would tell our listeners would be vision that final piece that you do with that customer and then work backwards. When you get to where you sit right now, you'll move forward on purpose, and your purpose will be to fully fulfill the customer's needs.
It's incredible what you just said. I hope that the business owners out there that are listening to us today are really taking note, because what you just said was, think about the big plan first. Who does that to you? No business owner. They're just focused on paying the bills. Some of them are paying the bills. They just want food on the table. They're doing the best they can. But if you really want to take it to that top level, start thinking differently. I have, again, numerous times told my clients as well, and my audience that comes and sees me speak, have a plan. Because if you have a dream without a plan, it's just a dream. Have a plan, but not just a plan. Have a plan on purpose. That's where that comes in. Look, I'm getting goosies already. I love it, Tia. I love it. So having a plan on purpose, but think differently. Think about where you want to be and work backwards. Wouldn't it be incredible, Tia, if we had clients that were exactly like Apple clients?
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you? You know, they've thought on a purpose. You know that for definitely. People are already in line and the product isn't even out yet. This is how Apple customers think. So being in business, it's hard work. You and I do it on a daily basis. It's bloody hard. But taking it to the next level, being the best you can at it. Don't just be in business to pay bills. Be the best you can in business. And how do you do that? That's why we're bringing experts like you on the show. So what would I loved that. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Look at the big picture and then work backwards. Loved it. Yes. What would be another tip that you could share with our audience? You know,
another tip that I can share, and it will resonate with what you had just said. One of the things that you said is that sometimes business owners can get lost in the business and they don't realize why they're doing what they do. And then you said that they end up, getting to a point where the money is what drives them, and there's nothing wrong with it. The next tip that I would have for you is, here, you got to listen closely on this one, because I've seen it year after year in business owners. Mm-hmm. Stop creating things on a fly, on the drop of the dime. Many people do that. I've seen the strategy. I've never seen it work. Now, I've seen people create something in the moment. It becomes brilliant. I've even seen people do it and make $500,000 at it. However, the other side of that is they worked for every penny of it.
Exactly.
They really didn't enjoy life. They ended up having to work hours upon hours, days after days for that $500,000. So did you really make $500,000? Because when you really stop and look at it, how much of that had to be spent on travel? How much of that was spent that on time you could never get back with your family?
Exactly.
Or your health. Mm-hmm. So you create this almost vicious cycle, and it appears to be successful if you look at the numbers. But if you look just one step deeper, you will see that maybe it wasn't as successful as you thought. So my advice or tip to you would be, when you come up with an idea and it's great and you're in your passion, you're in your purpose, you're on fire, you're like, let's get it done. Get it done. And then have a plan behind it and slow down just enough to not procrastinate it, but slow down just enough so that it can go forward faster with a purpose, and then you really have a success. I've seen people do it time and time again. They'll create on the fly, and there is a business model and a mindset like that. I've seen several business owners that say, get it done, get it done. We'll create it and do it, and we'll just make it up as we go. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people make a lot of money doing that, but in the same time, when I look at their numbers, as fast as they make it, it's out the window because they're not moving at a healthy pace, because there is a healthy pace to business. You can grow too fast and it can look good at first and wake up 2-3 years from there and end up bankrupt or with no money.
I'd like to share a story there, Tia, based on growing too fast. I met a client a year ago. We met in September. He had 3 employees. He signed up with me. Before it was March, he had 23 employees. 23, that's how fast he grew. So I was keeping up with the legal support. Little did I know, and again, my book wasn't out then, so I couldn't give him a copy of my book, but little did I know, he was opening too many branches too quickly, and he didn't have the client behind him. He was in the healthcare industry. Now, you know how volatile that is. If one aspect goes down, you've lost everything. So today, this client made over $50,000 a month, and he was just going and going and going and opening this and opening that. Today, he's got nothing. So it's extremely important, if you're going to grow, make sure that you can actually support that growth. Make sure you can support that success. Otherwise, it was all done for nothing. And one of my biggest sayings too is that you grow, but grow strategically. Right, make sure you have a plan again in your growth phase. Have that plan to grow. But you're absolutely right. Growing too fast can be a downfall for you. Growing too little can be a downfall for you. There really is an art to running a business, a successful business, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes. I think about this often when I work with business owners that are just getting started. Because I'm usually the person that is a part of the strategy when they're moving from a conversation phase into concept. That's really my specialty. Mm-hmm. In a lot of my strategic coaching, I get that client that is still in conversation and they're ready to move it into a concept and then monetize it. That entire process from conversation to concept to monetization, that process in itself requires exactly what you just said. You got to really slow down and understand the infrastructure that's required to move it at a steady enough pace so that you don't wind up buckling before you really get a really great idea out there. You know, I see that so often. A lot of times people will come with a conversation, and in the process of turning it into a concept, they get stuck and lost because they're ready to go off and do something else. I got stuck in that trap because I'm a high creative,
right? And
I've done that before. I've gotten started on something, and then I easily got distracted and started something else, then started something else, then started something else. And there was never an end to it. When
were you born?
August, I'm a Leo.
Yes, exactly. And you sort of lose the passion too, don't you, when you start something and something new comes up. That's when you're supposed to, I personally believe, you need to surround yourself with a dynamic team. I'm a huge proponent of having a dynamic team, not just a team. And I've spoken on this over and over again. And I'm very fortunate to have found my team. And they're not just support, they're sounding boards. They're really my board of directors. I can talk to them about anything and everything, and they have experience. That's what you want behind you. If you don't have a dynamic team, go to experts that have that experience, such as yourself, such as myself. And if you think you're trying to save money now, and this is for the startup business owners, yes, you know who you are. We're talking directly to you. If you think you're trying to save money now, you're going to be paying thousands and thousands later. Don't do this to yourself. You might as well not even go into business. That would be my advice. You must have a budget. Must have a budget for your startup. You can't just do it with a couple of $100 and off you go. Really think about this. If this is what you want to invest in, you're not only, from a legal perspective here, you're not only putting yourself in jeopardy, because doing business with anyone is extremely risky, and anyone will sue you out of a drop of a hat. They don't care whether it's a real case or not. If they're hurt and they're damaged, they're going to come after you. They're going to come after your family. So don't do this to your family. If you are going into business just to pay the bills, don't do it. Go get a 9-to-5 job, and that way your family's not at risk. But if you're vested in it, you need heart, you need guts, and you need balls to run a business.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the 3 things I just spoke about at war, and everybody had goosies, everyone. So business owners in the startup phase, make sure that you have your legal ducks in a row. Have an expert like Tia to talk to. You might be great at what you do, but you're not great at running a successful business. Nobody was born as a successful business owner. And I don't know about you, Tia, but I certainly had to learn the hard way.
Oh, yes, I sure did.
Yes, you did. Please, business owners out there, you go and pick up Tia's book. It's called Living on a Purpose with a Purpose. Do yourself a favor. Really, knowledge is power, especially at that tender stage of a startup. Tia, share with us one more tip for the business owners that are struggling. If they're struggling with their business to make money, this is going to probably, we're talking to everyone out there that's in business right now. How can they get over that hump?
Here, I want them to listen to this one, because this one I'm really passionate. It really touches my heart, because I see a lot of people in this space that you're speaking about. And I always tell people it's personal development. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of business owners are looking for a financial strategy. They're looking for a financial formula. While numbers don't lie, you can have a financial formula in place. You can sit down with a successful billionaire who can show you the numbers and still not hit the numbers. Why? There is a piece to entrepreneurship that no one pays attention to until it's too late. Your own personal development as the business owner. If a business concept is being birthed through you, you are the direct tie to the success or failure of that business. I don't care who you hire. I don't care how much money you go spend doing it. The buck is going to stop with you as the business owner.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those hardcore truths that you talked about the other day.
Yes.
Speaking about war, I love that, because I'm like that too. And I tell people, not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. And we get caught in the glamour of what it's like, oh, I own a business, oh, I own a business. But like you said, the truth is it gets bloody, it gets tired, you got to sacrifice. You probably don't get sleep for a while you're building it.
Right.
And what happens in all that is, if you don't stop as the business owner and go off and look at the areas of your life that you need to focus on personally, and I can be really clear what that looks like. I've worked with several business owners, and I know that some of them have a personality where they micromanage. And it's stifling their business because they're not allowing the people that work for them to be creative and stay in their zone.
That could be the death of your business,
I'm
right
telling
there
you.
and then.
You said something about Apple. Well, one thing about Steve Jobs when he was living, and one thing a thread that runs throughout his company, even though he's gone, is that he allows the experts to do what they do. He and a lot of other very well-known entrepreneurs at that level, that's what they do. They stay in their lane, and their lane is to create. They're brilliant. They create, and then they let it go. And they have others who are just as brilliant as they are in their field, and they let them run with it. And so that's one of the biggest takeaways that I would have our callers do. If you're a business owner and you're listening, stop for one moment. Be honest with no judgment towards yourself, and look at all those areas of your life that you keep saying it's okay to be, and you know it's out of integrity. I see a lot of business owners that have control issues. Has nothing to do with the business. You can look right around the corner into your personal life, And the same way you're showing up in your relationships is spilling over into your business. The same way you're spending your money in your personal life, I guarantee you it's showing up in your business money habits. So I know that one of the biggest tips would be, without judgment, stop and do some soul searching. Look at those areas that you need to change. If people keep coming to you that work for you and they keep telling you something, you're the common thread. And if more than one person has told it to you, you're really the common thread. So you got to stop and look at the ugly and be willing to grow it, heal it, change it, because it's blocking your money. It really is. And I don't care if your company's making $500,000, $1 million. It could be that company could make $5 million.
There you go.
But you're the difference between the $1 million and $5 million, but you think you're successful because you're at $1 million.
Right.
So you
exactly.
keep up with these bad habits. Well, you got to go look at that stuff and shift it, because you could be making $5 million.
Exactly. I love that tip. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Tia. Where can someone find you?
You can easily go to tiarossandcompany.com. Just spell that out. I give away a free 30-minute consultation. I get right back with you, and I would love to talk to anyone. And the first call is just to see what you're up against and what concepts you have. I have people that are successful that are birthing a new concept. So you don't have to be a startup business. You could be a business that's already moving, but you have a purpose, you have a passion, you have something you want to do new. You want to add a foundation, and you got to move it from a conversation into concept and monetize it. And you may not have time to make mistakes.
Exactly. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Tia. It has been such a pleasure having you on the show. We will obviously bring you back at some point very quickly, I hope. Do you have any plans for the holidays?
Well, I get to go hang out with my fiance in Las Vegas, and we're going to relax for once and not travel.
That's another tip, right? That business owners, they deserve to relax now and then.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say that?
Yes.
I would too, absolutely. Everyone needs to go out and actually pick up Tia's book, Living on Purpose with a Purpose. Please reach out to Tia. She is highly, highly recommended, not just nationally, but internationally as well. She's offering you a 30-minute free consultation. How can you say no to that? Again, it's at tiarossandcompany.com. Please do visit baglalaw.com for more information. We have some free downloads for you, and we have one particularly, Leadership in Business. Remember, the only way you become successful is if you make today the day you go legal yourself. I am attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law. It has been a pleasure being your host. Until next time, cheers to your success.